When you log into the software, you are prompted with our new open screen. You'll see our contributors here, the development team. You can access the display settings, which allows you to scale the interface. And you can see that's there live for you, so you can get it scaled before you get into the software. I can go directly into opening an existing drill or starting a new drill. Let's go ahead and start a new drill. I have my file location where we're going to store this, so I'm going to say I'm going to move this over to my drills folder, and here is my awesome drill take two, since I had an awesome drill before. All right, so you'll have a file name here, and this is the drill title. You can adjust that drill title to whatever you'd like, and this is what's going to be printed out on the chart. Okay, I have the ability now to adjust the drill counts as we've done before, set up an audio file or production sheet. I'm going to choose not to do that right now. I can pass through to our staging option, which allows us to choose any of the templates that we offer or any custom grid layouts. If you have one currently that you use, you can load that from here. The same thing with your venues and skies and things like that. I'm going to choose to keep all the defaults here from what we have in the template. And then I also have the ability to adjust my casting. If I wanted to add my performers, I can add that information in this window or add by groups. So if I wanted to do, let's say, my clarinets, I want them to be male marcher. I can do my woodwinds, my clarinet, and have a group size of 20. I can add additional groups here. Trumpet, trumpet, male marcher, brass, and trumpet. And say we have 15. Okay, I can continue through this and it's going to give me a full performance block. So I'm going to do create drill. It creates my fresh drill and it's going to add my performers here. I can see all of my performers that it's added for me, and it starts with a page tab at count 0. The most important thing that you need to understand about 3DX is everything is now together. So our 2D and our 3D are all one screen. This gives you a lot of flexibility in designing in 3D as well as jumping back to a 2D reference very quickly. All of the abilities that you need to adjust this are going to be right here on your ribbon. In the top right corner of your ribbon, that's what all these tools are. This option gives you the ability to change your surface style, so you can adjust it how you want it. You can toggle on and off your design grid. Same thing with your props, your text, and your arrows. This is your measurement information. You have the ability to see your stride size on the design view itself. You can toggle that on and off. The ability to show and hide your labels. This gives you the ability to toggle between your puck, the symbol only, and your performers. This option is going to recenter your grid to the default location. This option is going to zoom to your hotspot, who you have selected. So it's going to zoom in on that. This is going to toggle between 2 and 3D. This option toggles the camera control on and off. So once it's on, you can zoom, you can left click to pan, you can right click to shift, and 2D, it's the same thing. Left click is going to shift you around, right click is going to shift you around, zoom in and out. If you did not want to click on this option, you can hold your control key and that activates that for you. So you can quickly make adjustments on the fly while you're designing just to make it easier for you to work with. You do have 8 staging presets right here to choose from. What this does is it will memorize the functions that are on this bar and it'll recall those for you. So let's say I want to start with a design view. Let's zoom out, get where I want it. I want my design view to look like so. I've got my pucks, got my labels on. I want to keep this as staging preset 1. I'm going to double click on that and that's going to be saved for us. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a setup for our real view look. All right. Get this down where we want it. That's what I want. I'm going to double click on 2, and that's going to be my staging preset 2. Now I can jump back and forth very quickly. All of these tools on your ribbon here can be shortcut in your shortcut editor. So you can add these as maybe Alt-1, Alt-2, so you can jump back and forth between those, and you have 8 total of these available to work with. And that's the real quick navigation overview for both the 2D and the 3D environment that you're going to be working in version 1 of 3DX. All right. Let's go through adding some page tabs real quick. To access the functionality of the page tab editor, you can either unlock the page tab bin here with a lock. You can also double click on any page tab on the screen. That's going to open your page tab editor. You're able to then click anywhere on your count track to add page tabs as you did in version 11. You can click and drag them around, make adjustments as you wish. You also have the ability to add any of the notes or any production sheet data on this page tab editor. We do give you the ability to add page tabs by textual interface, just as we did previously. I can choose to stick around. Let's say I want to add, a few sets at 16 counts each. All right, so added some sets here. I like what I'm doing, so I'm going to go ahead and save my page tab information. So now I have my page tab saved, and I can just jump through as you would be accustomed with in the version 11 previously. All right. And at any time, you can go back in and adjust that information, whether it be colorizing a page tab or adding any other information for tempo changes, which is also available through your production sheet. So all your production notes are available here on the left. We do have our production sheet tool, which is going to show you all of the production information for the set you're working on. So you can keep this up at all times and make notes as you go through. Great. All right. Let's go through our selection tools. You'll see several selection tools that are similar to what you've been accustomed to in the past. You got your pointer selection tool, which allows you to select individual people, or if you double click, it's going to select the performers that are in the same group. We do have new abilities that you can adjust the performance of the double click and triple click. You can assign that to either be the same grouping. You can do it as the same symbol, same color, uniform, prop, label. This basically takes the place of your select by profile options. Now you have this ability on either double or triple click, and you can adjust this in your settings. So that gives you the ability to double click on performers and select them by that group or any other aspect that were available in your settings. In all selection tools, we have the ability to regroup automatically. So we have several regrouping options. The first one is keep existing grouping. The next one is going to be a manual selection order. So in tools such as the pointer tool or the swipe select tool, this gives you the ability to regroup on the fly. So in this particular example, I can start adding performers to my group, and it's going to automatically regroup those performers in the fashion that I'm clicking in. So as you can see, I've got my grouping lines being created here. I have all my groupings changing. You'll see it going from yellow, indicating the beginning of the form, to blue at the end of the form. I can also do that with my swipe selection. With swipe selection, it's just simply dragging over the performers that you want to be grouped and selected. You can see it's automatically selected those performers here. Okay. Let's get a block here so we can take a look at these other options. I'm going to put down a block of performers. Do a 4-step block. Okay. So our other options for auto grouping would be uh, group by angle, which is going to be similar to what you've seen in version 11 to the find next to end. It's going to take the leader of that grouping and it's going to then find next around in a spiral fashion. So I can click and drag this to define a new leader and it's going to automatically regroup that in that order. Our other options would be group by snake. What it's going to do is it's going to take the information or take the leader here and it's going to regroup all the way to the end and then snake around back and forth. And then we have our zigzag option. So it's going to take it to the end, start at the beginning again, and continue on. These give you the options easily to use the split functionality. So let's say I wanted to have some columns here. I'm going to do split. Let's say I'm going to do groups of 4. So now I've easily regrouped that entire block into columns. If I wanted to go through and adjust this here, I can adjust the leaders by selecting the opposite end and then splitting from that end, or the same thing going for our rows. And this would be groups of 5. Groups of 5. So now I have my groups of 5 and I can then create a transition using these performers. So we've tried to take a lot of the steps away from regrouping the majority of the time that you're working with it. Same thing goes for this. If I wanted to do a regroup here, I can zigzag or I can have it snake around. Then it quickly regroups those for you. All right. In all of our selection tools, you have the fast edit capabilities as well as the scaling and rotating widgets. So you can click and drag and make any revisions to your transitions immediately. As you can see, it immediately creates that transition for you. We do have the ability to edit pathways. We've got 3 different options here, your midpoint. If I click and drag on any of these handles, it's going to edit our pathways here. And it's going to edit anybody that you have selected. So let's say I did not want to have this bottom row selected, and I no longer want these curved pathways. This option is available in all drawing, editing, and selection tools. It's a straighten path. If you're accustomed to version 11, this is similar to the morph and accept functionality. It creates a straight line path from the original location to the new location. So I've got that straightened out. I can come in here. I still have my curved pathways. I can straighten those, make any adjustments. Let's say I wanted to have more of a S shape in our pathway. Test animate. And you still have the ability also to grab the scrubber and drag back and forth through the animation. So now you have the ability to edit almost everything you need inside of your selection tools, eliminating the need to jump in and out of multiple tools unless you're drawing a specific form or a curved shape. All right. Another thing that we've added here is the Snap to Grid. So Snap to Grid is still available under your edit menu. You can select all the options to snap here. You then can also select a save as defaults. What this is going to do is it's going to remember those settings here. And anytime you click on this button here, it's going to automatically apply what your default settings are. So as you're designing through, you can keystroke this to easily uh, snap the performers to the grid if you're writing to the grid specifically. You have your facing options. You can easily apply your facing options on the fly. That is also available through your visuals tools as well. All right. I'm going to delete these performers for now. Okay. Let's take a look at our drawing tools. All of our drawing tools now have handle widgets that allow you to scale the forms. So let's say our line. I have my handle widgets that you're accustomed to now, and your selection tools. I can make changes to that immediately. I can also rotate, relocate everything. One awesome new feature that we've added is the ability to add shapes together. I can click this add a shape option and I can add another shape to this. This new shape is going to be combined with that original shape and it's going to keep the interval that you've defined in your spacing box across that newly created compound shape. So as you can see here, I've got three shapes combined here. I can now scale each piece independently, rotate each piece independently. I can choose to do this on the overall form, so I can relocate everything or scale everything immediately, while still being able to edit each individual piece inside. I can slant or skew depending on what you're trying to design. You have that ability now. If I wanted to do that at a 3-step interval, quickly jump over there. And this is available in all of your drawing tools. You have this functionality. You still have the ability to omit overlaps and overlap existing forms and omit those performers that would be overlapping. But that is not required now if you are working with the add a shape option. Let's delete. I just canceled this right quick. And draw a shape here. Let's do another arc. And add one more arc. So I've got my 3 arcs here. I now have an option to enclose the shape, so it'll be a completed form. I also have an option for fill. This is going to give you a filled shape in the defined area that you've drawn. I can adjust my intervals here, horizontal and vertical. I can stagger it. So I've got all of my performers in there in my block. I have all my interval options, the free interval, which allows us to define any specific interval, locked to horizontal or locked to vertical interval or mixed interval. And we do also have the random interval, which is great. It does a scatter option. So if I wanted to scatter that, I can say I want a minimum of a 3-step interval and a maximum of a 5-step interval from any given performer inside of this area. And as I adjust this form, it's going to rescatter that. So now every drawing tool becomes a filled shape tool for you. So if I wanted to, say, remove that bottom, I can delete this, and now I have my 2 arcs filled. And turn off my fills, go back to my 2 arcs. Delete my arc. And say I wanted to do Let's see. I want to do a mirror. I'm going to mirror it across the 50. So I'm going to mirror my shape just as we did previously. I can do it across the center point, or I can do it across an individual point that I can define. So if we wanted to mirror across the 40, we can. Along with our mirror, we have our cloner, which allows you to clone linearly, radially, or concentrically. All right. So we would type in the number of clones we want, and that gives us the ability to create multiple shapes cloned after each other. You can do the same thing radially if I wanted to start out with a flower type effect. And the same thing using concentric options. People. Let's maybe just let it define. There we go. You can adjust that center point location where it's being mirrored from. All right, let's toss some people down here real quick. Just mirror, actually. Let's do another arc like so. Okay. So I've got my shape. Now, if you notice that I'm actually designing on set 2, I can start assigning here. We give you the ability to design at any page now. So at that point, let's say I need to add new performers, so I can come here and select my new performers option. That's then going to add this here. I can then go back and design backwards as you've done in the past. Say I wanted to pull everybody to a line. I'm going to keep the matching here, except this. And now we have our transition created from designing backwards. All right. Because we've given you the ability to design on any page, we've added an additional way that you can actually create forms. The way you're accustomed to, you'd select performers first, and then you could come in and draw the form, right? It's going to automatically match who you've selected into the form based on their orders that they were entered in the previous form and how you drew the existing form that you just created. But we now give you the ability, let's say I've got how many people here? 46 people here. Okay. So let's say I don't select anybody. I can actually draw a form now, and I can enter any number of performers in it. So let's say I'm going to do 23. Okay. What I can do now is when I go to start a sign, I now have the ability to choose from anybody that's on the chart to match to. So I'm going to do a custom matching, and I'm going to actually grab every other person. And I'm matching to these people that I did not select to begin with. So this gives you the ability to design shapes freely without having to decide who's going to be in that first. And when you have a more intricate design, sometimes that's more in line with what you need. So I've got this, I can scrub it here, watch the animation, I can test animate. So I like that. So I like where we're at here. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to select this line. I'm going to do kind of a bottom arch to this. I've selected those performers, and it's going to automatically match it based on who I had selected in the order they were in. I can test and animate that here, so see how that goes. That looks all right. I'm going to keep the grouping here. I did notice that this did have a little bit of a crossover here, so I can come in here, select this one performer, and I can edit their pathway. So try to make sure that they miss this in our transition. So that's easily done just by selecting that performer and editing him in your selection tools. If we wanted to do that same thing here, we can. Let's say I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. I have an option for, uh, what's hiding behind my zoom bar. This arrow here is going to be step back. It's going to step back individual things that happen inside of the tool you're working on. It's a more granular undo than the standard undo, whereas the standard undo will undo anything that is uh, accepting of an entire transform in your tools. So if I start an arc tool and accept it, and the undo will undo that entire thing. Whereas if I wanted to edit handles inside of the arc tool, I can use my step back arrow to step back individual increments inside of that tool. And all of that functionality is available in all editing tools, all drawing tools, and all selection tools. All right. Now let's take a look here at our editing tools here. I'm going to, let's, I'm going to select these two real quick. Create a little curve here. That's 23 people. I'm going to clone it once linearly. Let's just stack these right here. All right, I like the way it's assigned. So now I have my transition here. Let's take a look at the Morph tool. So as you can see here, this is all grouped together. I don't want that. I'm going to use my fast regrouping. Let's see if I can't get it the way I want it here. Great. And then I am going to then cut these apart right here. So I now have two forms here. I'm going to select my Morph tool. One nice thing about the Morph tool is now we can mirror everything inside of the Morph tool. So I can come in here, let's say reduce the handles a little bit. Do my curved pathways. As you can see, it's basing it based on my grouping here. So I'm going to escape this. And I'm going to do zigzag. Let's try this one. So I'm going to get what I want. There we go. And then I can cut these apart right here. Whoop. Okay, let's try this now. Our morph, we're going to reduce our handles a little bit. I'm going to do my curved pathways. Curved pathways. You can see now we can modify it in the same fashion. Whereas you couldn't do this before, it would act as a single shape. I also have my resize handles available, so if I wanted to adjust this, you can. And I can test animate. I have my stride sizes. I had my measurements turned off. I have my largest stride here, which is 6 to 5 or 6.5 to 5, my 7.8 to 3 here, and my average intervals here, 3.43 and a 4.1. And this is all available. I can adjust the opacity of my measurement information here, so to make it a little bit easier to see. And all editing tools are accepted by either right-clicking or pressing enter. If you press escape, it then cancels out of the actual tool and reverts the changes. So we can move on. Let's see here. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to go ahead and label our performers. So these are performers that we've entered into the drill outside of the wizard, so they come in as the default X unless you've changed the symbol. I can come in and choose my labeling tool. I can label, let's say everybody, or change your symbol to C's. I can start label C1 to the end. I have a direction, so I can adjust my direction of the labels or working on a contour, depending on what you're looking to do. Pressing enter will accept those changes and close the tool for you. Everything I have done so far can be done in 3D. So let's jump over into our 3D form. Okay, so I can come in here. Let's find our last transition here. All right. So let's grab some performers. I'm going to come in here and check my pathways, create my transitions that I want. If these handles are too large or too small, you're able to adjust those on the fly. Here on your slider. I'm watching my transition stride size here and my average interval. Test animate. All right. I like that. I can just keep the assignment, or I can do proximity matching any of the previous style. I can also sequence any transition. Let's say one step off. Whoop. Let's do every. Let's edit this. Sequence repeat, repeat, repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 performers. There we go. Well, you can see here, we're taking 6 performers at a time, stepping off. Let's take that a little bit further apart. It's the preview. You can press play to see it live animating. If that's something that you like, you can press enter to accept it. If not, I'm going to turn off my sequencing, just do a standard transition. And press enter to accept. So now we have our performers marching. And we can do the same for this. This one, we're going to test that transition here. I like it. Let's go ahead and keep our assignments the way they are. Oh, no, we can't. That's too big of a stride. So we're going to jump back over here to draw. I can shift this around. To get back into a better stride size. Looks like 7.5 to 5. It's probably okay. I'll accept that. Now we have our newly created transition. All right. We got our transition created here. All right, let's go ahead and toss some audio in here. I'm going to click on my cogwheel down here at the bottom. It's going to bring up our count track settings, which allows you to adjust the zoom here. Also, audio brightness when you've added it. Let's go ahead and add our audio file. Do I have audio file here? Let's do, well, maybe other ones can we use? My Girl. Let's do this one. Okay. You have all of your audio syncing that you've had in the past. You tap on each count, tap for each page tab. You have an option for lead in. You can adjust that lead in. You can use your production sheet. Let's say you have your tempos entered on your page tabs in your production sheet. This will synchronize to that. It also gives you the ability to define a lead in. in beats at the opening tempo or the first tempo scene or by seconds. And it will actually auto create page tabs if you need to fill areas in the back. One new function that we added is the ability to automatically sync. That's what this button reset to computed beats is. What it's going to do is it's going to automatically sync the audio file to the drill based on the audio tempo scene in the file itself. Let's turn on audio here. As you can see here, it is automatically synced the audio file. So you can go back and adjust that at any point in time. You resync it here in your synchronization window. You can also adjust your audio synchronization by spreading your anchors over the area you want to modify. If you open your page tab bin, you have the ability to then dilate the time between the counts over that audio range. So this has given us a slower tempo. And that can be done at any point in time if you're wanting to do it over an entire set like this, or if you wanted to do, let's say, Fermata, you can grab it over a smaller range. Zoom in so I can actually see things here. Here, and you can expand that Fermata over those two counts. You can see it keeps the same tempo that we synced with. And then it has expanded those two counts for your Fermata. Now, as we were saying earlier, the audio brightness, when you have an audio file here listed, it gives you the ability to change the opacity of your audio track itself. So you can see your waveform here. All right. Let's take a look here. Let's go through and add a prop. So standard props are no longer in 3DX. Everything is now a performer prop. So we're going to enter a performer that is going to be our prop. We're going to accept it here and then select that form and go to our appearance. I'm going to choose to convert bodies to props. Yes, I want to do this. It's going to set it up as a default for a box. I can come in here and select from any of my recently selected prop types. I can click on my More option, and it's going to give me my entire library of props that I have available. And all of these props were available in our asset store. They are available to you immediately with previews. You can adjust the preview size. You just come in here and select which prop you want. It's going to give you that information. This is going to reset the sizing to default. Let's say 6, 4, and 6. So it just adjusts on the fly for you. Maybe 6 here. Maybe 8 here. There we go. So as you can see, it now creates that prop on the fly for you. And you have all of the functionality that you did previously. You're able to click and move your props. But now in 3D, I can actually see everything that's happening. Facing here. I don't want to do this. You can choose a set angle. Just point it to the direction you want. And I can watch that animation. All right. right. We've got that turned off. Let's see what else we have. I've got all my clarinets listed here. Let's say I wanted to change who I had, what instruments everybody's holding. I can come in here and grab these performers. See on this one, actually, let's do it. Let's do it by this segment here. Let's say these are actually going to be trumpets. Change my trumpets for this segment. Great. Going to grab those trumpets again. And I'm going to adjust the instrument they're holding. I can pull down from my menus here, or I can click on this window. It's going to bring up my visual selection. And say I want trumpet or trombone, contra. Let's do a trumpet. So I've got my trumpet here. Can set my visuals to. Does everybody have a trumpet here? Double check. Zag, not everybody is carrying a trumpet. Trumpet. It's my trumpet. There we go. Visuals, my horns up. So now everybody is at horns up. And grab the rest of my performers here. Hold down shift and grab my other clarinets. I can come over here and do horns up for them. And now we're in our horns up position. All right. And just take a look through our sets here. We added a new function for jumping between pages. I can click on this jump page and it's going to give me an overview of the set that you're working with. So you can easily jump to a particular set and the drill that you're looking for. And that's similar to clicking on it in the production sheet as well, or the page tab. All right, that's going to conclude our overview of the software.